So hey guys, Josh here, CrossFit Reman. We're talking about Friday's workout. And before we get into the workout, let's talk about sort of setting the stage. And when we have a little bit of extra time like we do now, it's important to be able to be more intentional about the warm-up. And I'm not using that as some just really hippie throwaway statement. What I mean is the importance of the warm-up not only sets the stage for a specific thing to happen in the workout, but it keeps you injury-free. So what we'll do a lot of times is build these triggers to help set you up. And a lot of times what I think happens is we rush from work or we rush from wherever we gotta be. We get into the gym and then it's like, we gotta go. And rightfully so, it's better to get in there with a little bit of a subpar warm-up and do something than it is to do nothing. But maybe we can build a trigger now, and we can do it with something as simple as a lacrosse ball or anything that's hard enough to do some sort of mobility. And you don't even have to get on the ground for this, but we'll touch into a really quick bottom of your foot roll. And here's how I would use this. Let's say that any time before a workout, any time before an activity, I want to neurologically set the system. I want to prepare my body and tell my body, this is what you need to do. Be ready, be active. Then I take this ball. My cameraman's going to pan down. I take my shoe off. I show off the coolest socks ever. And I roll. I'm only gonna do this for maybe even 30 seconds. And here's how I do it. I put it at the knuckles of my foot. I keep my heel on the ground and I cross strum it. There's some really cool things you can do with this, but all of that's probably unnecessary. Again, we're using this, and then I'll be done with it after about 30 seconds. And again, we're using this as a trigger. Not only does it do a whole bunch of things as far as mobility and just overall health goals when you roll the bottom of the foot, but it sets the stage if I did this every time, if I follow that with a workout. So that's a big deal. So that's what we're thinking of. Now, let's jump into the warm-up for Friday's workout. First thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna find a bench. I happen to have a foam roll. If you have one, this will work perfect. If you don't, it's something that will set me up to where my knees are still in line with my hips. So it's not really wide. It's not a lot closer than that. It's something that I can grasp a hold of and keep my knees pointed forward. Now, I happen to have a pretty light barbell that I can use for this. It can be a Dow, it can be PVC. It can be just about anything, but you gotta get creative. That's totally fine. Once I'm here, I'm gonna rotate. And you look at it. That's a struggle for me. I should be able to rotate more than that. And what's crazy is I'm starting to feel that in my legs from trying to keep this foam roller here. That's probably not good. I should be better at this. So that means I will add this to my warm-up. But this component, I would do this for about a minute. And if your coach wants you to do it longer, they're gonna call it out. Okay, so we're gonna do that first. That's piece number one. I'm gonna go through that. We're gonna do these 3 times. So that's gonna be piece number one. Piece number two, let me get rid of my stuff. I'm gonna go into a table position, but I'm gonna really work shoulder extension as well as my midline. So I'm gonna go here. Piece number one is simply this. Raise up, top position, stay up, top position, stay up. Squeeze your glutes really hard at the top, stay up. At no point in time, it's like a swing set. Let's call it that. Let's call it a swing set. So when I'm up into this position, squeeze your glutes, come back. Now, if that's too much, we can always incrementally just push up. That's totally fine. Maybe that gets it. We can do the table independent of that whole swing set position. There's a lot of different ways, but we'll probably do that for about a minute too. And your coach will go through those components with you. Now, my last one, I'm gonna start preparing for my handstand push-ups or my regular push-ups. I'll get my barbell again. Since I had such a hard time with that other one, this will probably be a good idea too. I'm gonna step back into a reverse lunge because lunges are in the workout also. So I'm gonna step back into a reverse lunge. My hands are gonna be roughly overhead squat snatch-ish grip. Step back, rotate, press. Rotate, step. Did you get all that? Okay, so let's watch it again. Step back, rotate, press, step back. Those are my 3 warm-up movements Gonna do those 3 times for roughly a minute each time or until the coach calls me. So when I get to my strength portion, what we have are 5 strict handstand push-ups, or we may opt to do push-ups, and there's several different variations that we have with that, and your coach is going to help you with that, and I'm going to show you a couple things. Then we're going to also do that with a Cossack squat hold for 30 seconds per side with a goblet. And since I have this right here, let me just go ahead and show you that. So I got to get this thing in a goblet position. It can be a kettlebell, it can be whatever you have, but I need to hold it in relatively goblet position like I would a front rack. Now, I'm going to step really wide, 2 feet maybe wider than my normal squat stance, and then I'm going to sit into that goblet squat hold for 30 seconds, trying to drive the chest up the entire time. So again, goblet squat hold, 30 seconds each side. That's piece number 1. Let's say that I don't have an object. Get creative. We can get a 10-pound bag of rice. You can get a sandbag, any number of different things. Or if I don't have that position, if I don't have a mature position into that Cossack because I feel some hip weirdness, then just practice the hold. Maybe I grab a hold of something and try to hold that position with my chest upright before I worry about adding weight. Okay. So let's look at that push-up position. It's either going to be handstand push-up or push-up. If I'm going to do a push-up, it's going to look like this. Tight plank position, down and up. Everything touches at one time. So it's not this. It's certainly not that. Down, up, down, up. And then at the bottom position, my elbow is above my wrist, not in some kind of awkward flapping or Russian push-up position. Now, let's say that's really easy and I'm going to scale it to a wall. Cool. I'm going to do a handstand push-up. So now that our strength component is all done, we're going to get to our Metcon. We're going to start out with an 800 meter run. If I don't have an 800 marked out, think of this as roughly 2.5 minutes out, then roughly the same back. Get through my 800 meter run. Now, after I do that, I transition into a 400 meter single arm carry. Okay, you can use a 5-gallon bucket. You would be really cool in your neighborhood to use something like a suitcase that you've put books in. I don't know, whatever. Just make sure that the neighbors see. I guess you can't really invite them out because we're not allowed to talk to people right now, but you get the idea. Now, here's what my carry is going to look like. I have a kettlebell. I go ahead and I stand up, and as I'm going, it just needs to be completely upright. I can't have this, and I can't have this, and I can't have bruises on the sides of my legs when I've actually completed that movement. That's kind of a gold standard that says I was probably leaning to one side or the other. So then I have my 400 meter carry. It's half the distance of the 800, okay? Then I get into my 100 meter lunge. And the lunge, again, I would do this. I would only do the lunge if it felt good on my knees going all the way down. If it hurts my knees to do a regular forward lunge, which actually implies movement, I would do what's more like a split squat, which would be in this position. And that's a reverse lunge. And I would do those for probably 3-ish minutes, 4 minutes, depending on whatever my coach says, for my 100 meter lunge. Again, either I'm moving, denotes lunge, or if that kind of gets to me, but a reverse lunge feels good on my knees, then I'll stay stationary and probably do 3-minute AMRAP, 4-minute AMRAP, whatever I feel like in that iteration. And then I finish with 5-0, 50 burpees. Jump. Or step back, step up. And then that, one time through, is my workout for Friday.